Hello, everybody. Welcome to our 4 o'clock live. We are here with Satch. Hello, Satch.
Hello.
We were just laughing our butts off over here. I was going to say a swear word, but thank goodness I didn't. It's been a really long day. I've been traveling all day. I was in Florida all week. I've been up since 12 o'clock last night, our time. Anyways, yes, it's been a really long day. And I need to just take some deep breaths and just relax.
I wouldn't be able to formulate a sentence if I had been awake since midnight.
So I'm doing okay.
You're doing, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so if I fumble my words, we all understand.
Of course.
Okay,
I mean, I'll make fun of you about it later. But
okay, cool. All right, you guys. Well, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
You are a force. I have to say this. A lot of you don't know Satch, a lot of you do, and the ones that do understand what I'm saying here. You have this ability to capture people. People love you. I posted this morning and I said that it took us a while to connect, but now that we have, I get it. It's like every girl and a lot of guys wants to be your best friend.
You know,
what is that about?
You know, I don't know. I'm a big lover. You know, I love everybody that I come in contact with, and if I don't, I at least get something from that interaction, whether it's a lesson learned or maybe something that I would do differently in the future in regards to meeting different people. But for the most part, I don't know. I just try to be authentic, and I try to be me, and a lot of people like it, and some people don't.
Well, those ones that don't. You don't need them anyways, yeah.
It's okay though. I've always been that way. I'm very drawn to people, which is what made this entire quarantine real tough. I mean, I wasn't really following CDC guidelines, if you get what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I definitely was still meeting with people, especially in our line of work. It was very hard to just sit on a computer screen. It was a struggle.
Work.
So I've definitely been kind of doing my own thing for a while, much to the chagrin of my mother, who's watching right now.
And she's like, no, don't do that. But it's so true. As addicts, we cannot isolate. We need this connection. Mm-hmm. We have to have others around us that understand us and that we can just have that energy and that exchange and just be face to face. I don't even like doing Zooms. Everyone that does Zooms, bless your heart, okay, but when it's okay, let's do a Zoom meeting, I'm like, yeah, I think we talked about it. We did. Of course, I'm bringing it up again.
Okay, so are you available? I was at an event earlier today for work, and someone was like, I mean, we could get together on Zoom or go to lunch, and just before, without even thinking about it, my first response to her out loud when she said that was, I go, ugh.
Yeah.
She goes, oh my.
Yeah. I know. I feel the same way. No, in person is much better. So thank you for being here in person with us today. I don't know a lot about you. I feel like I know you and I feel relatable to you in a lot of ways, but I don't know you. I don't know where you came from. I don't know your journey, your story. I know it must be a very powerful one for the man you are today and what you do in the recovery world. So I'd love for you to take us back in your journey and how you came to get sober. How did it start for you?
Absolutely. Well, I would love to kind of give you a little insight into my life.
Okay.
I'm East Coast raised, Texas braised, is what I like to say.
I haven't heard that before. I like that.
Did a lot of damage in Texas. I always felt like there was something different. I always wanted, people to like me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I wanted approval. I wanted affection. And it wasn't because I didn't get it at home. A lot of these stories that I hear in the rooms are, people say, I came from a broken home. Mm-hmm. I came from a very powerful family. Mom's a very successful attorney, and, I didn't have any disadvantages. I had never had to struggle for anything. Mm-hmm. So when a lot of people ask, what caused you to want to get loaded, I said, I caused me to want to get loaded. It came down to that. I was always told that there were drugs and alcohol dependency problems, chemical dependency, alcoholism in my family from a very young age. Did I necessarily understand what that meant? Did I have a grip on that? No. I knew that I shouldn't do it. Because it would incite something in me that I was not ready for. I don't know, the first time I drank, I was like, ugh, God, this sucks. This is terrible. Who enjoys this?
Yeah.
First time I smoked weed, I was like, that hurt. My lungs hurt. But I kind of enjoy this feeling. I found opiates, and I knew that was how I wanted to feel every day for the rest of my life, to put it boldly. Nothing else hit like it did.
So coming from a good family, right, and not really liking drinking, what made you decide to start doing other things? Like, what was it in you that said, oh, I want to do opiates, and then when you felt it, you're like, oh, I want to feel like this. What was it that you were lacking? I know you said you had some issues with self-esteem and things like that, but what was it that you were like, oh, this is what I want to do?
I had my wisdom teeth taken out second semester of my senior year.
Okay.
Didn't know what it was going to be like. Had, a couple friends who were like, oh yeah, I've had that done. It hurts, but they give you some pain meds. I'm like, okay, cool. So I'll be able to come to school. And they're like, yeah, after a couple days, but like, don't rush back in right after it happens. And so I'm laying in bed, and it was the first time I'd taken a Norco, and I was like,
and that switch.
That switch, man, it was just like, as soon as it hit my stomach, I was just like, whoa.
And that just goes to show you that it doesn't discriminate.
It doesn't.
It was that one moment that just turned on that switch. I feel that we always have it dormant, and just something has to trigger it, and then it's off and running. So what happened after that?
So, was still kind of dabbling in what little opiates I could find. I had no idea how deep it can get. So I was doing that for a little while, and then a friend of mine said, hey, I don't have Norcos, but I've got something that'll make you feel a lot better. And I was like, what's that? And it was heroin. And the first time I did heroin, I shot it.
Wow. And
that was the start of a very long and very painful journey for me. I found myself doing a lot of things that I always said to myself I would never do in order to get heroin. I sat there and said that it was how I wanted to feel forever, but there came a very real point where I never wanted to feel that way again. That's definitely my drug of choice. There are a lot of other drugs that are part of my story, but the one that literally made me took me to the depths of despair would have to have been heroin.
So with that, and thank God I didn't find heroin, because I always say if I did, I wouldn't be here today. And I'm sure you've had many experiences where, in all honesty, you shouldn't be here either, but by the grace of God, you are. Going through that journey, being in the clutches of heroin, did your family know? Did your mom know what was going on?
Okay, so hey mom, mom knew. Mom instantly knew, because I stopped showing up at home. I started staying with friends, and I would come by less and less. And she, I don't know, I mean, I'll share some pictures to my Instagram or my Facebook of me when I was really strung out. But I had left and hadn't been home for like 4 or 5 months, probably like close to that. And she said when she saw me, it took her breath away, because I'd lost like close to 100 pounds.
Wow.
I looked sickly.
Yeah.
You know, I did not look right. I had track marks all down my hands. I mean, when I get into my addiction, there is no keeping a job. There is no, you know, making ends meet. There's none of that. It is me going full throttle into a brick wall.
You having no control.
No control.
Right.
I stop, you know, it's not about, ooh, I'm going to my mom's house. Maybe I should hit a different vein. You know, it's like, I don't care if she sees these marks all over my hand and my neck and my forehead, you know. It was a very scary time for her.
Were you in denial? Did you understand the depth of it? Did you want to get help? Were you struggling with that within yourself, or were you just in it?
I knew I was sick, but the thing that I knew what needed to happen in order to get better, right? The one thing that I was more afraid of than death was detox. I was afraid of being so uncomfortable crawling out of my skin, knowing that there is something that will instantly take me out of that pain, take me out of that misery, and transport me to another place filled with pain and misery.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like trading a sword for a knife, you know?
Absolutely.
It was, yeah, I mean, it's we had conversations several times about, you know, how my mom was planning to bury me. Because I was careless, you know? I'd go to detox every now and then. I'd get out of detox, and I'd go right back to using how much I was using before I went in, you know? And so there was a very careless and caustic manner to how I was doing things, you know?
How did you get sober?
Well, I went to, good Lord, 27 different detoxes, treatment centers, outpatients.
I love that you say that and you're open about that, because no one should feel shameful or embarrassed about going to treatment a bunch of times. I cannot stand it when people give up on people because, oh, he's been to too many or she's been to too many places. It's like, well, how do we know that this time won't be the time?
It's my badge of honor. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people were making bets on, like, when I die at home.
That's really sad.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody thought I'd get sober. I didn't think I'd get sober. I didn't think I was capable of it. I really didn't think I deserved it, to be honest.
Why didn't you think you deserved it?
Because I'd done some really bad things, Jen.
A lot of guilt and shame.
A lot of guilt and shame. A lot of, you know, listening to my mom cry on the phone, you know. Those are still sounds that I can't,
Reminders.
that I can't let go of.
Yeah.
Because life's a lot different today.
Right,
you know?
right.
I woke up on the 5th of March, 2015. This is going to get a little real here. I was in a motel in this little one-horse town in Texas called San Angelo, who I had moved back to, I mean, not back to, but I'd moved to when I left a treatment center in Vegas. The only 2 times I've been to Vegas were to get sober, by the way, so that's just hilarious to me. But I moved there, got a room for rent with a friend who also left treatment. Match made in heaven, right?
Of course.
He ended up having his wits about him and wanting to stop using. He's like, come on, we're going to go live with my dad in Idaho, Iowa, something.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, okay, for sure, yeah, I'm down, but I'm going to finish the rest of my stuff before I stop for good.
Yeah.
I feel like that's only fair. Of course.
Of course, that's how we think.
That's just a brilliant idea.
Right, right.
And so I'm in the bathroom, and the guy who was there with me packed all of his stuff up, threw it in his car, and drove to something.
Yeah.
Idaho? Whatever.
Idaho.
So, I mean,
Probably Idaho.
wherever Lewiston is.
Okay.
I remember the city. And left in the middle of the night. And I stayed in that bathroom trying to hit a vein until the morning. And then I found out he'd left and I was gone. And he was gone and I was gone.
Yeah.
And I tried to kill myself that day. That was I had enough heroin and a rig to kill somebody. And for some reason, God saw it fit to bring me back from that. I woke up on the floor, covered in blood. You know, and all I had was like this last rig of heroin with like, that was all coagulated and no good. And I remember I looked at it and I like crawled out of that bathroom and I cried.
What were you thinking? What was going through your head?
Here we are again.
So you're in a hotel room by yourself, just overdosed, covered in blood, on your hands and knees crawling, saying to yourself, here I am again. That's a powerful image. It's a powerful thought.
It is, and it's one that never leaves, you know. I've been blessed to have an incredibly strong support group in sobriety. Don't get me wrong, my first 6 months, year and a half of sobriety, I was a mess.
Me too.
I was a complete disaster.
And I think it's good to say that because you don't just get sober and it's magic, rainbows, butterflies, everything's great. It's not. It's tough and we struggle and real life and we're not numb anymore and having to look at all the stuff we did and the guilt and shame in our families, and it's tough.
It was a, alcoholism and addiction are a disease of the thought process for me and for a lot of other people. And I mean, it took so long to reprogram myself, my core beliefs, and to really look at what being a man in recovery looks like and what it truly is about.
So how'd you do that?
I worked the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. That is, I am a heroin addict by nature, but I do everything in my power alcoholically. When I would drink to blackout. When I shop to overdraft. You know what I mean? AA saved my life. And that's something that is different, because a room full of drunks taught me how to not pick up dope, and that is something that is so powerful. I worked through my steps a ton. I've been through my steps 7 times with 5-6 different sponsors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something new every time, right?
Yeah. Well, I the sponsor I have now, he's a well-known name in our field, and he's taught me so much. I got to the point to where I was 3 years sober, but I was miserable. I was taking on the weight of the world. I was not indulging in self-care. There was none of that. And I got real resentful at everything and everyone. And I really wanted, and another event happened that kind of spurred that for me. So I had some wreckage from my past come up, and I was working at a treatment facility out here as the director of admissions, and I got pulled over one weekend. A warrant came up out of Dallas, Texas for an old heroin possession charge. My jail, we didn't even get into that, but there's a lot of that in my story too. And I got arrested.
Oh wow, in sobriety.
In sobriety,
yeah.
Right before 3 years sober. Let's see, I got out on Valentine's Day. Okay, so I went to jail January 21st. I did not get out of jail until February 14th. So I did 2 weeks of jail here in Orange County. Then I got flown from here to Texas. And you want to talk about some humility.
Yeah.
Getting flown from Orange County, John Wayne, walking there shackled and handcuffed.
Humbling experience.
But the thing is, I got arrested right after a nice dinner, so I've got this heather gray cardigan on. I've got these white pants, this white shirt. I look like I just left Pitbull's pool party. Yeah. You know what I mean? And to be shackled and handcuffed and walking through an airport.
Wow.
it brought me back to the beginning. I met a guy while I was in jail here in Orange County. Fell madly in love with him. Of course, this is just how things happen, right? You know, my mom, of course, is like, you know, as a Harvard law grad, you know, this is not smart in sobriety. And on the 25th of August, 3 years ago, it'll be 3 years in August, he OD'd and passed away. Like right after an argument that we'd had. And so a lot of guilt and shame went with that.
Yeah.
You know, but before he passed, I told him I loved him, and I saw that he read it. So that's kind of like my saving grace and my little piece of serenity in that situation. But so they flew me to Texas, and I stayed there for 6 days, and they put me in a psych tank because I identified as homosexual. And I was just like, what kind of backwards stuff is going on in the state of Texas? You know?
Yeah.
And that was another real shock. Having to sit there with close to 3 years sober, being forced back into this situation that was so familiar to me for a while.
Yeah.
And hearing somebody bang their head against the wall in the opposite cell until they knock themselves unconscious to go to sleep for 6 days. It was...
What was the self-talk in that time? In those 6 days, it must have been intense.
See, it's so crazy because the promises have come true, and I'm going to tell you how.
Yes.
Okay. So I had a tax return coming to my bank account. My job had kept me on payroll this whole time. So I'm still getting paid. I'm still able to pay my rent. You know, all these things that come due while I'm in jail are able to be taken care of, because none of that stuff would be happening if it weren't for the work that I'd done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact that I was, okay, this is a hiccup, all right? This is a drop in a bucket. Those are things that you say to yourself to kind of like spur like positive stuff, you know, because it's sad because some of those people, especially in the psych unit, they're never going home.
No.
You know, and if they do, it's never going to be the same. And some people have such a severe mental deficit in there that there's no real, no false for them. Everything is just kind of, it's just as it is in that very moment.
Yeah.
You know, imagine living for the moment every second of every day, you know. That's what that seems like. And so I got home, I stayed at some cheap motel, got on the first flight out on the 15th. Came home and was just so grateful. You know?
It had to be the most empowering situation to go through, to be able to lose a loved one, go to jail, get transferred, all of these things, be in the psych ward.
In the same like window, you know what I mean? It's
unbelievable.
It's
and stay sober. It just goes to show you what a good job you did building your foundation. You know, because if you didn't have that strong foundation and your recovery that worked for you and those people, there's no way, you know, a lot of people would not have been able to stay sober through that.
It was tough. It was tough for sure. But my sponsor is a relentless support. Like sometimes I just want to
Good job, sponsor.
Thanks, Vetch. Take it home with
you.
There
you go.
Yeah. Sometimes I just want to tell him to like leave me alone. Like, why are you so obsessed with me? Like, quit asking. Quit asking how I'm doing all the time.
Yeah.
And then when I don't hear from him, I'll like text him and be like, so like someone's too good for me. You know? just true narcissism at its finest. You know. Okay, so support from my family. My mom, dude. She's
your biggest fan now.
I mean, she's
always
my rock
was, I'm
star.
sure. Yeah.
She's my rock. You know, she's always there when I need her, and I'm grateful that I've been able to give her 6 years of good sleep.
Yes.
Like that's something that I'm incredibly proud of today. You know, because I can't remember how many times she's told me like, I didn't know if I was going to be getting a phone call from somebody saying that you wouldn't be coming home anymore. You know. Life just looks so different.
Yeah.
You know? It really does. And there are times that I'm so grateful that I feel like there's like something wrong here. I'm like,
yeah, what's going to happen?
where are the cameras? You
yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Life is good, and my passion is in helping people today as a result of somebody being where I am today. Back when I was reaching out looking for help, has it's ended up being a very powerful inspiration for me.
Absolutely. I feel the same way. I feel that if I didn't find my passion and purpose and help people, that I definitely would be white knuckling it. You know, I wouldn't be truly happy. So for you, the promises, they came true. I know for me, when I first got sober, I didn't think they would come true. I'm sure you
I didn't
were
know.
the
I
same
didn't think
way.
they existed.
You're like, it's
I
not
was,
even a thing.
You know,
This is made
hearing
up.
people saying that stuff in the rooms, like, you know, drinking coffee, like, the promises came true. I'm just like, okay, what are these promises and why is nobody telling me exactly what they are?
Yeah.
You know? Because it's realized that they take many different forms, you know?
So for you, the promises that came true, what came true beyond your wildest imagination that you would be experiencing?
Confidence, a sense of self, harmony, really.
Harmony.
Like, for me, revitalized passion. I mean, I got back into singing and music, and that's something that has had such a healing quality, and it's just added so much breath to my life, right? So, healing, I mean, that's what it looks like for me. It's all here. It's all like internal promises. It's not about getting a car. It's not about finding an apartment. It's not about, for that, like, sure, that's nice stuff to have on the outside. And if anybody says, oh, I don't want nice things.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna have a conversation about that. But
Yeah.
I love what I've been able to do for myself in sobriety and recovery as a result of rigorous honesty and hard work. It's not easy. There were many times where I looked at an obstacle or a problem, and I wanted to be like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's been real. It's been fun.
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Mic drop. I'm out.
Yeah.
But there have been so many things that have come up that I have that old me would be like, time to get high.
Yeah.
That I have just kind of skipped over, just jumped over, like I guess a track star. What do they do? The
hurdles?
Yes. See, I was about to say 400 meter dash. You can tell I don't run. Yeah, it's been an incredibly eye-opening experience, which has turned into a way of life.
A lifestyle.
Because of, you know, it's a design for living that I've learned to hold as my own. And now it's just like a working part of my mind. You know, they talk about that in the book. You know? Repeated action slowly becomes a working part of the mind.
Right.
And for me, I mean, it's beautiful, because for a while I thought my mind was broken.
Yeah.
I thought there was no way that, like, okay, I'm not going to catch on to this. Okay, all these people are living happy, joyous, and free. I'm not happy. I'm not joyous, and I paid for parking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, it's not free. So, where does that come in?
Yeah. With the guilt and shame, I know a lot of people struggle with that. I know I struggled a lot with it. I still do. You know, how were you able to deal with the guilt and shame? Like, what would you suggest or tell anyone out there that's suffering to start dealing with the guilt and shame? What did that look like for you?
Wow, that's a really good question. So, guilt and shame for me, it took everything. It took I wasn't able to enjoy anything for a while, just due to the fact that I felt that there's something wrong. I shouldn't have this. I shouldn't be feeling this way. You know, I've caused too much damage. A lot of guilt and shame comes from living in your past.
Yes.
And
we can't live there.
If you're not living, I mean, if you're living in your past, you know, where's the present and what are you thinking about for your future? You know, living in our past will cripple us as addicts and alcoholics. 100%.
I agree. Yeah.
Because all I keep doing is, if I'm looking back here, wondering, okay, wow, I didn't measure up in this situation. You know, I'm less than here, and here. Where's the positive self-talk in that? Where are the daily affirmations? Like, what are you doing to build yourself up? Because I personally believe that we are driven by forms of affirmation. So like, when you think about, they say that if you know, have a plant by a windowsill and you hum nice things to it.
This is true.
Oh my God, you're the cutest plant in the world. Oh, there's no other fern like you, or whatever it is that you want to say to plants, you know. I don't talk to plants, so I don't necessarily know. But like, I hear that if you say affirmations, it boosts growth, which is crazy.
It's true.
Like,
it's true, yeah.
If plants can hear,
right,
then I've got a whole separate amends list. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh,
but it's
goodness.
So true. Yes,
It
the
is.
power of affirmations. Affirmations, not being in the past. Yes, absolutely. I totally agree. Because if I was to live in my past, there's no way. I'd be very, very sick still.
We've all done things that are, in our eyes, terrible, in others' eyes, terrible.
Yeah.
But it's not about living in that, you know. I'm going to speak for myself. I got sober because I wanted freedom. Freedom from self, freedom from old habits, and freedom from old thinking. And sometimes old thinking and old habits crop up. I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
You know, I am really proud of myself for not saying a single curse word on this show yet.
It's been amazing.
I mean, that right there is growth. You should have heard me at lunch. It was ridiculous, you know?
Yeah.
But like, making sure that like that little peekaboo from those old habits and old ways is just that. Because the minute you let that kind of creep back in and spread across your chest, you're in trouble again.
Yeah.
And that's not something that I'm willing to experience.
So having that awareness and the accountability and being able to call yourself out when that starts to happen.
Oh yeah.
And stay present. What would you say to someone out there that's struggling right now?
Woo. I would say to the person who is struggling, maybe somebody who has a family member who's struggling, who doesn't really know how to bring forth the information that they know. You know, if you're going to sit there and wait, we've seen a lot of people who are afflicted just as we are, who have lost their fight due to the fact that they weren't able to ask for help, or that, you know, they were afraid of family rejection. And when it comes down to that, it's like, who are you living for? Are you living for you, or are you living for your family?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I personally believe that anybody who puts something in front of doing this for themselves is going to lose it. And that's a very controversial subject, which could be a completely different live. Maybe
be
I'll
a whole
come
other
back
live.
in a few months.
We'll do that.
You know?
Part two.
But give yourself a chance for a better life. Give yourself a shot at it. Because I was hopeless.
It's never too late.
I was so lost. And I thought that there was no way that anything good was going to happen for me. Even though I had a beautiful upbringing. I came from the most loving family. And it got me to a point where I thought I welcomed death. You know, that's a very scary thing. Don't ever give up on yourself. That's something that I say to this day to the clients that I help. You know, it's never too late to do something great. It's never too late to be something great.
It's never too late. Absolutely.
Never.
Thank you for sharing a piece of yourself with us.
Of course.
Tell us where you work, how people can get a hold of you.
I work for Dream Recovery. Dream Recovery is a co-ed outpatient facility located in Costa Mesa, California. I have Instagram all_Satches.
I think we're going to have it on the banner too, but go ahead and say it
well,
too.
I mean, now.
No, I want
Now
it.
it's weird.
It's not what I meant.
Now I feel Facebook, Satch J Selden. Just hit me up. I'm not going to get my phone number out here, but
Yeah, not the phone number.
Not the phone number.
You don't have the two phones.
I don't have the two phones.
I can because I have the two phones.
I have a personal phone number that gets too much action as it is.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it does. You know it. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You were
This
amazing.
has been incredible.
All right. Thanks, you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.